know I got the receipts, girl. You know I got the receipts. Welcome back to the Sweet Pea Diaries. It's your girl Sweet Pea, and I am back with another video. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back to my channel. And if you are a new subscriber, welcome to the Sweet Pea Diaries. Be sure to like this video, share the video, but most importantly, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Good evening, everyone. Please let me know if you can hear, if you can see. All right. Hey, Lynn, Sean, Jasmine Bars, Miss A.T. Alien, Stan, JJ, T Goddess, Monica, Queena, Miss Jordan. You guys let me know if you can hear and if you can see, okay? Let me know if you can hear and see. TMZ just reported that there is no settlement. I don't know where that rumor is coming from, if it's a settlement or anything, but I never said that it was. I definitely will not report anything that I do not have. All right, I'm going to report on the receipts that we have and the paperwork that we have. But yes, quite a day. So we know why we're here. Breaking news, bombshell, to say the least. Jennifer drops her lawsuit against Kenneth Petty and Nicki Minaj. I wanted to jump right into this because this is not going to be a long video because we have to prepare for another live after this. But this is not going to be long at all. I'm going to give you the information, tell you what I think is going on, and then we're going to be done, okay? So Jennifer, yes, she dropped her lawsuit against Nicki Minaj and Kenneth Petty. She went before the court and entered this motion. She wanted to dismiss her claim against defendant Nicki Minaj without prejudice. Now, this is a voluntary dismissal against Nicki Minaj. This is not a voluntary dismissal against Kenneth Petty. That's one thing that I want to make very clear. This document and this dismissal is specifically speaking to Nicki Minaj. As you can see up here, it says notice of voluntary dismissal of defendant Onika Tanya Mirage. It doesn't say that she dropped her case against Kenneth Petty. So I'm definitely going to fix that title. I want to make sure that I put the information out correctly. But it does appear that she has dismissed her case against Nicki. Doesn't say Kenneth, but we do know that they have been tried separately. You know what I mean? That this case from the beginning, they have separate lawyers. Charges were separate. She wasn't putting the actual 94 accusations and some of the items that she was suing. She wasn't suing Kenny and Nicki equally. Nicki was more so the aiding and abetting, the harassment, indirectly and directly. Those were the claims that were made against Nicki, and that's what she was suing her for. Kenneth was more, the harassment indirectly and directly, but we were also getting into the 94 situation that happened between the two of them. And because of monetization, I have to stay away from, some of the wording. So we already know what we're talking about, so I don't have to say the words. But I do know that on Monday, there was a schedule where Kenneth, Nicki, and Jennifer, they had a schedule that they had to abide by as far as when to respond and when to reply in regards to this motion for the default judgment against Nicki. Now we know that Nicki had a default judgment entered against her as well as Kenneth. Kenneth was honored, and the default judgment was basically because when they answered to the lawsuit, it was late, and they still really didn't answer to it. They both sent lawyers up to the courthouse basically saying, I'm standing for Nicki, I'm standing for Kenneth. The official, replying and answering to the lawsuit still had not taken place up until today. It's still, they had different motions and different intentions, but never in actual what they intended to do about this lawsuit. So they had a schedule that was in place as to who should reply to what and when paperwork needed to be due. And as of Monday, Jennifer was scheduled to reply to Nicki Minaj's counsel, replied to their letter and their motion that they had entered in to the court about why Nicki should not have a default judgment on her. So Jennifer was supposed to respond on Monday, her attorneys, and they did not. So yesterday, Nicki Minaj's attorneys, they sent this letter to the court stating that Jennifer was late in her response, and if she were to issue her response now, it should be null and void. It should not be allowed to be entered into the court because it's late. And basically in their reply, they're saying you didn't want to give us an extension of time, didn't want to play ball when it came to us with the default judgment, with us being late. So because you said that Nicki was a celebrity and she doesn't get to, she's not above the law and she doesn't get to have special privileges, well, they're saying, Jennifer, you should have the same rules applied to you. You should not, just because you are suing a celebrity, you don't get to turn your paperwork in late. You said that you don't want us turning ours in late, so how dare you come to the court with, turning your response in late as well. So instead of answering to that with a reply in a letter, Tyrone Blackburn and Jennifer's attorneys, they replied with simply stating, we want to withdraw from Nicki Minaj. We want to voluntarily dismiss this case against her. And that's what this letter is. It was a simple, we are voluntarily dismissing our claims against defendant Onika Tanya Mirage without prejudice. And that was dated for today. All right, so major bombshell. We're thinking that she's going to be responding to, replying to Nicki Minaj's team as to, and arguing this thing out as to why a default judgment should have been entered. And instead of that, Jennifer said, no, we basically want to drop it, period. Now, like I said, this has to do with Nicki. This doesn't have Kenny's name on it. So I'm expecting, if she's asking for this to be dropped entirely, if she wants this lawsuit to be dismissed entirely, I'm thinking that it's going to be a separate docket entered, a separate motion entered, as far as Kenny's concerned, because they're not standing together. You know what I mean? They had their own separate lawyers. Kenny was represented by an attorney. Nicki was represented by an attorney. There were different charges on each one of them. Jennifer has separate claims on them. So I'm expecting that if she's also dropping charges against Kenny, for his paperwork to be separate. So, and, if it was going to be the both of them, I just don't, I'm like, well, why aren't they both entered on the same day? If she was dropping it against both of them, I would think that Nicki's would have been on one letter and Kenny's would have been on another one. So it could be interesting that later down the line we find out that she's not suing Nicki anymore, but she's still intending to sue Kenny. That could be what it is as well, because we don't see an actual docket for Kenny. We just see one for Nicki. But I wanted to put out that narrative. Let me see what you guys are talking about in the chat. So do you think she settled and did an NDA? Well, if there was a settlement, it definitely, there will be some paperwork alluding to that. It'll be entered into PACER. If there was a settlement agreement, that will be entered. As of today, I don't see any paperwork showing anything about a settlement. T Goddess said a civil case still can stand. That's a new matter. Was it dismissed with or without prejudice? It was dismissed without prejudice. And Miss ATLian says she shouldn't have gotten a young boy lawyer. Tyrone, right? Maybe they think Kenny will settle. Well, if there's going to be a settlement, and if there is anything like that, if that's going to be entered, those paperwork, that stuff will be entered in on the docket. But as of right now, that's where we stand. We don't have anything additional. We don't have a reason. There's nothing stating why. So we can't speculate. We can't, well, because of this or because of that. Oh, she don't have this or she don't have that. There was a lot of full steam ahead action. We were getting a lot of the exhibits. It looked like they were preparing for a great, case. I really believe that Jen had a leg to stand on. Some people don't. I believe that she had a case. She was proving her case, but we did see in the previous update that Nicki's side had showed the text message between Nicki Minaj and Jennifer. When Jennifer said the marshals are at my door, but Jennifer never said that she didn't send that text message. She admitted that she sent that text message. So there are a lot of speculations. There could be a lot of rumors as to why, we don't know. Jennifer has been through a lot with this. Everything that she's saying that she's went through, that's a lot for anyone to go through. But I can't imagine coming this far and just dropping it. There's got to be a reason. There's got to be a really great reason behind it. I can't see her coming this far and dropping it. But like I said, this doesn't mean that she's dropping the case entirely. This states that she's dropping the case against Nicki Minaj. This did not say Kenneth Petty. It says Nicki Minaj. She's dropping and asking this be dismissed against Nicki. So far, that's what we have. So if it's going to be Kenneth as well, I'm expecting it to be a separate document. Okay. And like I said, we don't have the reason. We don't know the reason. We have nothing pointing to our reason. We don't have a statement from Jen, so we can't speculate. We can't say why. Well, it's because she don't have. Some people say maybe it was a hoax from the beginning. Some people are saying were they all in on it together to try to get Kenny's case dismissed from dropping his situation with New York. But we know what the status on that is. New York is looking to dismiss that case entirely. They don't even want to have a plea deal and entertain that anymore because they want the case thrown out, period. So there won't be a plea deal. If that is granted, that will be done. That'll be a done deal. And whatever the repercussions are from that case, he'll still be having to register. It'll still be the same scenario. So it won't be anything he won, won't be anything he gained. It'll go right back to what it was. You have to register. You got to, every time you move, you got to give us your address. You have to be on that list. So everything, it does not take away from, and please, I want people to understand, this doesn't take away from Jennifer being a victim. People that support Jennifer, please, we do not want you to ever think that we don't stand for victims, because we do. This doesn't take away from anything that happened to Jennifer. This doesn't downplay her trauma, doesn't downplay the event. But this is all Jennifer. This has nothing to do with the court, has nothing to do with the judge. Jennifer decided to withdraw, to, voluntarily dismiss this case against Nicki Minaj. Okay, and we know that Nicki was being sued for harassment voluntarily and involuntarily, and aiding and abetting. Those were her charges. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. Those were the claims that were being made against her. The 94 situation, Nicki was not being sued for that. She was being sued for very specific things. So thus the reasoning for this paperwork being specific to Nicki Minaj. So whatever claims Jennifer was making against Nicki, those are the specific items that would be dismissed. Now, what Kenny got going on with Jennifer, that's a whole nother story, and that's separate from this. All right. Oh, thank you for the 1999, Stacy Wise, coming through. Diva says, hi, it was reported she is suing separately. Yes, that's what we are saying. Yep. Tigata said people are actually calling her a liar because she dropped it. I think she's getting tremendously bullied. Jen is trying to heal. Right. Others are being cruel. Yes, we stand with Jennifer. And, it doesn't take away from, I believe she came a long way in her journey to try to get justice for herself. She's told her story in hopes that other people, other victims won't be scared to come out and tell their story. It takes a lot to go up against a giant. Takes a lot to go up against a Goliath, someone with money, someone with a reputation, someone with the following and the fans such as the Barbs. That takes a lot. I mean, it takes a lot for me to do these updates, and then I got to worry about being bullied and dragged and stuff, and people use other things to act like they dragging me for, but it's really because I do this content because they like Nicki Minaj. It's a lot of people that are Barbs and they really get involved in this and they start dragging people. I can only imagine what Jen went through behind the scenes with Barbs, people DMing. It's a lot. So going up against Nicki Minaj and being in the press with this, that was a lot for her to handle. But I really believe that she had a strong case. If she had evidence and she was going to be pointing to that direction that this actually happened to me, they harassed me, and she had everything and all her ducks in a row. She had her counsel. I believe that she had a fighting chance. What she decided to drop it for against Nicki Minaj, not Kenneth Petty, against Nicki Minaj, that's Jen. That's her reasons. She got reasons. We don't know, so we can't speculate. We don't have the paper. It doesn't have paperwork. Don't say anything as to why. We don't have none of it, so we can't speculate. But like I said, it does not take away from that woman's trauma. And how dare anyone that tries to belittle what happened to her and her story. You can't shame people for what they've been through. And that's one thing I can say about her. She stood her ground, and her story stayed the same as it pertains to her trauma and what she's been through with Kenneth. Nicki jumping in there and Nicki putting herself and inserting herself into this. That's where we saw this big old debacle, because Nicki inserted herself as, like she said, that's my husband. So she felt as though I'm standing for him and I'm putting myself involved in this. But the way she did it and the way she went about it, and just the bullying and the outright, the lies, the disrespect, it was just a lot. It was a lot. And that's a lot for anyone to handle. So case dismissed voluntarily on behalf of Jennifer Hough. The case is being asked to be dismissed on behalf of Nicki Minaj. I do not see anything that states Kenneth Petty that the lawsuit is dropped. So I definitely will be editing my title, because I did not, I was typing, and I want to make sure that I correct that, because this does not have Kenny's name on it. This is specifically pointing to Nicki Minaj. She is asking that the case be dropped, dismissed against Nicki without prejudice. Okay, so that's our update. There we have it. We got to get ready for our next video. I want to make sure that we are totally prepared for that. But what do you guys think about this? Drop in the chat and let me know. What do you think about this? Okay, she made herself, JJ says she made herself look bad. Now everything she said looks invalid. You have a point. She has no case. And Diva says, what do you think happened, Miss Sweet Pea? I'll give you my opinion in a moment. My guess, jurisdiction, but it's a guess. That could be it. There was a lot of discrepancy with jurisdictions. Child of God says, hey, Sweet Pea Mods chat. Hey, Hubbard says, okay, you cute. Hey, boo. Thank you. JJ says, what are you talking about? She only touched on the case publicly 2 times, and she never said she can anything bad about her. I guess you're talking about Nicki Minaj, the statement I made about that. Well, I wasn't talking about her with the actual case. I was talking about what was actually in the documents, what Jen is stating, what was taking place with Nicki Minaj, and what we've seen with Nicki Minaj and the things that she said about it. We don't know what she publicly touched on 2 times. A lot of times when people are going live and they're alluding to things and they doing the subliminal, you don't know what a person is talking about. You're not in their home. We don't know what they talk about on a daily basis. We don't know what they talked about with Jen, Black. We don't know what went on behind the scenes. We do know that there were conversations. We do know between Jennifer, Black. We don't know how many conversations. Everything just because they have this, what they have on the court documents, we don't know what was going on in real life. You know, everybody not going to give everything. We don't know what was going on in real life. All right. So, in my opinion, since people want to know what do I think, I mean, in my opinion, I just think that I really did think that Jen had a leg to stand on. I agree with JJ. I will agree with that statement. Everything that she said and did at this moment, it just makes me feel as though now people are going to question. I may not question you. Others that stand for you may not question you. But you got to look at the big picture, and you got to look at the court of public opinion, because a lot of this stuff is tried in the court of public opinion. And now people are going to start side-eyeing and saying, well, maybe this didn't really have any leg to stand on in the beginning. What is it really giving, Jen? What, do you really feel like you had a case against Nicki, or you felt like and that's why you pulled out, because you really didn't have a case against her, but you feel like you do have a solid one against Kenny? People are going to start side-eyeing things that were said in her as it pertains to Nicki Minaj, since you now want to dismiss this case. But that could just be what it appears to be to us. We don't know what Jennifer is feeling. Jennifer could be feeling like, this is just too much for me. I'm sick of it. I don't want to go through it anymore. I'm just going to let it go. That could be, I'm just going to go ahead and stick with this case with Kenny, and I'm going to let this go with Nicki. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's really hard for me to judge and really hard for me to say, because it was a lot we were gearing up for, and it seemed like we were going in the right direction. And for you to now just want to have it just be dismissed, I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot to take yourself through. And then that's a lot to just now want to dismiss it. We were arguing about the process server serving Nicki Minaj. We were arguing about Nicki, not knowing about the case and acting like she didn't know about. We were doing a lot of that and, speculating and doing a lot of speculation on what was taking place. And then we just come out and we say, it's dismissed. I would like to dismiss the case. Well, anyone's going to side-eye you. Anyone's going to side-eye you. Anyone. So we don't know. We don't know why. We don't have any documents. We don't have any statements from Jen to point to why she decided to dismiss this. But all we do have is the documents that show, She's asking this be dismissed against Nicki Minaj. We don't have Kenneth. We just have Nicki Minaj, okay? And like I said, those charges were separate. We know that she was suing Nicki for harassment, indirectly and directly, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and aiding and abetting Kenny. And with the whole aiding and abetting thing was stating that you knew this man was on the S offender registry list and you encouraged him not to register, when this is what he was supposed to be doing. He'd been doing it all this time, and now that he's with you, you've encouraged him not to register. So that is what the aiding and abetting charge was, claim was for. But yeah, we can't speculate. We don't know. But at the end of the day, a lot of people, like I said, this is being tried in the court of public opinion. So you're going to have a lot of people speculating and the people saying a lot of different things. Why would you backtrack now? Why would you, but just because she's dismissing, does that mean she's backtracking? Does that mean she's taking back what she said? Does that mean she's taking back her accusations? Does that change that she feels as though she was being harassed indirectly and directly by Nicki? Does it change anything? Does it change that these things happen? Just because someone wants something dismissed doesn't change that it happened. Doesn't change that maybe these events occurred. It just might mean I don't want to go through with it. I'm done with it. Maybe her lawyer could have advised her the evidence that they presented last week, or she didn't respond to their reply. She didn't respond to Nicki Minaj's team. She didn't turn in her paperwork on time. Could that be a reason why she decided not to go forth? She said, we were late. We don't have a response. You know what? Let's just dismiss it. You know what I mean? There's a number of reasons that goes into this. So we don't know. We don't know. We don't know. Right. So there is no, hey, Fields of Grace. There is no settlement. So I don't know where, I didn't say that. So I don't know if anyone, I don't have that narrative, and I'm not pushing that narrative because there is no settlement. Nothing. We didn't say anything like that. I guess you guys are having a conversation in the chat, but there is no settlement, and I definitely don't see paperwork about a settlement, and I can't see anybody settling, at this point. If she's dismissing the case, I don't see a settlement. You know what I mean? It would have been dismissed on both of them. It wouldn't just been dismissed on one if there was a settlement. If there was a settlement for the case, both parties, it would have been dismissed. But like I said, because they have separate attorneys, we might see this paperwork come through at a separate time. But as of right now, what we have is that Jennifer is asking that the case be dismissed against Nicki Minaj. This was not at the hands of the judge. This was not a court order. This was a voluntary dismissal on behalf of Jennifer. Okay. So we just wanted to make sure that that narrative was put out correctly. No judge, no court ordered this. Jennifer is asking voluntarily that the charges be dismissed against Nicki Minaj. Okay. The lawsuit be dropped, dismissed against her specifically as a defendant. All right. So that's the information that we have. And like I said, it could have been a number of reasons. I really believed that she had a solid defense. We had evidence. We was going forth. And there's a number of reasons when a person drops. It's a number of reasons. You could be advised by your attorney. There could be a number of reasons, because I don't see Tyrone and Stephen being as prepared as they have been, being right on the money, responding to everything, having all their paperwork together. I don't see them not answering to a simple reply letter. You know what I mean? Like, it was a simple reply letter, on schedule, on task, and just to not answer it and then follow it up 2 days later with a dismissal voluntarily against one of the defendants. Something else is at play. There's something else behind it. You don't just come out and just, I'm dismissing something. Something else is at play we don't know about, and we don't have that. We don't have any statements. So there's, in my opinion, something is something. There's a reason for it. You don't just come out and dismiss. I mean, especially as into this as we were, you don't just come out and just ask for something to be dismissed. So there's a reason behind it, and I'm pretty sure her and Tyrone, and because she can't just go before it has to be done through the attorney. They have to be the one that draft up the motions and issue them to the court. So they talked about it, her and her counsel. You see that Tyrone's name is on it. So her and her counsel talked about it. He signed it. He issued it. So, this had to be done by her attorney. But it was entered in today, written, drafted, entered in today, that she wants this dismissed against Nicki Minaj. All right. So that's the update, guys. That's all of the information that we have. I will keep you updated and keep you well aware of what's going on as I know. When I get the information, you will definitely know as well. But as right now, guys, I wanted to make sure that the right narrative was put out. Jennifer has asked the court to dismiss the lawsuit against Nicki Minaj. All right, she's asked that it be dropped. Not against Kenny. As of now, we don't have that it was Kenny, but just Nicki Minaj, the paperwork we have right now. This wasn't the court. This wasn't the clerk. This wasn't the judge. This was a voluntary request on behalf of Jennifer Hough. All right. So you guys, make sure you like this video. Make sure you share the video. But most importantly, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I will catch you on the next video. Stay tuned for our next live. And y'all know what that update is. Y'all make sure y'all got y'all popcorns ready. Make sure you got your drink on deck, because we coming through with that next update. All right. So make sure you're tuned into the channel. Your notifications are set. You're subscribed and everything, so you know when we go live. All right. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.